Hello again, viewers, and greetings, fellow space travelers. This is Thorn of Night, and welcome to episode 5 of my bee breeding tutorial and guide, where I am covering as much as I can of everything to do with the bee breeding situation in Minecraft. I'm covering the forestry as well as the other add-ons like extra bees and magic bees and all that, and hopefully I will remember to cover everything. I may miss a couple things here and there, but I'm going to continue to try to do everything I can. Anyway, in this episode we are going to cover some of the much more advanced machineries involved in doing your bee breeding. Up till now I've covered pretty much the brute force stuff and a lot of the hit or miss options. This sequence here, this row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things I'm going to be covering in this episode is the fine-tuned method of dealing with your bees. So let's get started. The first thing to cover here is called the Advanced Genetic Machine. Just like the Genetic Machine and over here the Apiarist Machine, it is a core component. You can place it in the world and it looks pretty cool, but other than that it doesn't do anything, except it is used as a component for all the rest of this stuff. In order to make it, you are going to need to toss some supplies into the carpenter, 6 redstone dust and 3 bronze ingots, and toss some water up here, and obviously power it. Using like a redstone energy cell or anything that produces MJ, to get yourself one of these enhanced circuit boards. Then take one of the enhanced circuit boards and one of the genetic machines from the last episode, a diamond and 6 gold just in a regular crafting table, and you'll get one of these advanced genetic machines. Next is the Isolator. And what the Isolator does is if you take a bee, I'll explain the construction of it here in a moment, but if you take a bee and put it in here or in any one of these slots, and then you take a serum vial, or an empty serum vial, which is, you get one of them from making it out of 6 glass panes, 2 gold ingots, and a royal jelly. You toss that in here and give it some ample power, and it will take a specific gene out of the genome of the bee that you're processing and cram it in there. And basically this is randomly selecting some sort of thing that it's going to try to do. This one is the both one for temperature tolerance. So this one has on the temperature, it says warm / both 1. Well, now you have an average quality temperature tolerance serum that goes both directions by 1. It's empty, and there's some other steps that you need to do to work with it, but that's what it does. Now here's the recipe for it. You are going to need to go to the nether, get yourself some blaze rods, and you're going to either need to find a village and do some trading, or by some other means get yourself 3 emeralds, take one of those advanced genetic machines and a redstone dust to get one of these isolators. Now what you do with this thing, and I'm going to just take this one, is well, one of the things that you do with this thing is you put it in a replicator. And just make sure, I will need another couple of these, so I'll just grab a stack. There we go. Put that back in there. And the replicator recipe is 3 eyes of ender, and that's not an ender pearl, for those who have not worked with this yet. It's an ender pearl and a blaze powder. To get one of these, and you'll need 3 of them. You'll need 4 of those serum vials like I just showed you, 1 redstone dust, and another one of those advanced genetic machines. Now, this thing does require power, just like I have up here. and you take one of these little processed, or rather stamped, I guess is a better word for it, uh, serum vials, and put it in here, and with some additional empty ones, sorry, it will run through this little DNA sequencing thing that pretty much just makes a copy of what you have over here. It can be a full serum vial or an empty one, it doesn't matter. Any stage in there, it will make a copy of the actual, this one says both 1 temperature tolerance, so you'll get a both 1 temperature tolerance, excuse me. And they are both obviously average quality. I'll just leave that in there, why not? Now, over here in the last episode, I showed you the gene pool. You're going to need to use that to get some DNA for the next couple machines, and supply that liquid DNA to, first off, this thing called the synthesizer. Now the synthesizer needs some soul sand, 4 of it. You need redstone, some glass, and 2 glass tanks, which are just a box made out of glass. And 1 more of those advanced genetic machines to get you 1 of these. And it does also require power, and it does have some power storage in it, 40,000 MJ, that's pretty nice. But you will need to pipe in some of that liquid DNA. Now, what this does is, yeah, that's the one that I want. I have some other parts from another project from the next episode, so try to ignore the rest of this stuff. But take the serum vial in there, and it's hard to see at first, but this is starting to get more colorful. What this does is it basically improves the serum that you put in, and it doesn't take too long to do 1 cycle here, but basically it takes the goo that is in the DNA and squeezes it down to make additional charges. And this is how you actually are able to use the serum. Otherwise, it's just a basic empty vial that's just got a template stamped in it. You need to improve it 2 different ways. First, you need to give it some juice. Now, you just saw, hopefully, that it went from average to poor quality. Now, as you add more DNA to it, the quality is likely to go down. And we will cover that here in just a bit. And why don't I just go ahead and let this thing charge up. I'll cut here and be back when it is done charging. Alright, this one's almost done. 16 charges. And that is as many charges as one of those serum vials can hold. And as you can see, it has dropped all the way down to awful quality. But we can remedy this. Let's take this vial and toss it over here in the Purifier. Now the Purifier also requires power and some of that liquid DNA input into the system. And you toss the serum vial into here and you get this little animation and it starts purifying. While it's purifying, or it's starting to purify, I'll go ahead and show you the recipe here. You are going to need to get yourself this, 3 of these gas tiers, 1 redstone dust, excuse me, 4 of these tanks, which once again that's just a box out of glass, 1 of these advanced genetic machines, and that will get you 1 of these purifiers. Now, over here you can see it has increased to poor quality. And what it will do is continually cycle through on this 1 vial with more and more DNA and also more juice, which, speaking of juice, it holds 50,000 MJ, but it does use the power pretty quickly. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and replace that real quick. Crank the output so it doesn't hiccup. Oh, I guess I should demonstrate that. Well, it's not going to right now. I'll have to wait for it to drain. So let's let it drain. There we go. $30, $20, that's good enough to demonstrate this. There. That strobe over there, which I shouldn't do that for some viewers, means that it is not getting enough juice. That's at 50 MJ per tick. So let's bump it up to 60. Still flashing. 70. 80. You can see the pattern here. 90. 100. At 100 MJ per tick, it actually stabilizes and doesn't lose any of the power. Well, I guess it loses a very small amount. You can see that dwindling down to from 180 when now it's down to 177. But as it goes through at 100 MJ a tick, it's pretty even. But as you can see, it went through all the charges and cleaned it up, purified it. Says serum already highest quality. Excellent quality serum. Excuse me. And as you can see, since it's not doing anything, it fills back up pretty quick, which means it uses the juice pretty quick. Anyway, now what do you do with this thing? Where to put it? Right here. This thing is called the Inoculator, and what you're going to need to do is get yourself one of these serums, and this will work with lower quality ones, but it is not recommended. If you use a lower quality one, you are liable to get some pretty bad traits. You'll get the thing that you're trying to squeeze into it, but you'll get some side effects as well, and it's just not pretty. So you take the serum, put it in here, and you can see this thing looks like a syringe. And it is waiting for a bee. I'm not going to put this tropical bee in here because, well, it already has that trait. So let's get ourselves another kind of bee here, a forest princess, and toss it in here. It goes into here, and you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bees total. Seems like 7 for all of them. Excuse me. And if you watch right here, the syringe is being compressed. Basically, it's taking one of these charges and squeezing into it. Now, if the bee has 2 instances, both the active and inactive, let me show you what I'm talking about here. If over here on the active and the inactive, the trait that you're trying to get is not on the bee that you're trying to get it on, it will run through 2 charges. However, if it already exists on one or the other of these, it will only use the 1 charge. If both spots already exist, it'll just say, I can't do this, it's already got it. But let's see how we're doing here. I think it takes a little bit over a minute to fully inoculate, there's a word right there, one of the bees. It might be a minute 20 or maybe a minute 40, something like that. It's over a minute, I'm pretty sure. But it's almost done here, and I'm going to pull it out after it's done with the first wave. Any second now. It's almost done. So close. There we go. Alright. Now let's take a look at this. You can see that the primary on it, it says temperature normal / both 1. At first it was just the no tolerance. It used to say none in that /. But you can see that the first thing it did was fill in the active slot. It will always go for the active first because that's what you're trying to do, is just change to the bee. But if you also want to change the inactive trait, you have to keep it in there. Wow. I do that all the time. Where'd you go? So, gets put back in. You can see this is down to 15 charges, and when it's done with this cycle, it will be down to 14 charges, and the bee will be done. Won't be able to do anything else with it. So I'm going to cut here, let it do its thing, and I'll be back when it's almost done. Well, I seem to have learned something I did not know before about the inoculator. It doesn't always properly inoculate the bee. It is down to 14 charges now, and it is still going through and trying to change this forest princess's trait to both 1 temperature tolerance. I seldom use the inoculator. I tend to do the brute force method when it comes to breeding bees. So these higher end machines, especially because of the power consumption, I tend to just ignore them mostly. I've used them in the past, but not much. So, I guess it isn't always a one-for-one setup. Now, I'd hope that it doesn't take too many more charges to do this. Let's find out. Still going. Wow. Let's see what we've got here. Put that in here. Nope, it says 0. That's interesting. Huh, that didn't do that when I was testing it before. Well, I guess I'll just wait and find out how many charges this is going to take. So I'll be back in just a jiffy. Okay, so the bee is done being inoculated. It only took a total of 5 charges, but let's double check this thing here. We have got both one on active and inactive, and that's all it changed because this is an excellent quality serum. If it had been a lower quality serum, you would have gotten some other unintended unpleasant effects. So that's how that works. Now, I had planned on doing this for the next episode, but I figure might as well, since I have time, might as well cover the next 2 things. The first one here is the Apiarist Pipe, and I wanted to place that after I said what it was so I could demonstrate this little color band here. If you place it out in the middle, that's how it looks. It just looks like I guess a small window or something. But the way this works is if you attach inventories or pipes or other things to the sides of it, it will get a special color code for each of these 6 directions. And I guess I shouldn't be demonstrating the other directions with more Apiarist pipe. Let's see here. Pipe. Cobblestone pipe works. Alright, that's a little less busy. Okay, you see there are 6 directions: green, white, blue, yellow, red, and down there is black. There you go, now you can see it. And what this, well, first let me show you the recipe for it. You're going to first need to get yourself some diamond pipe, which is glass and 2 diamond to get 8 of them, so at least you get 8. But then you take one of those diamond pipe and 2 propolis to get 1 Apiarist pipe. Now this propolis can be gotten either from centrifuging silky propolis, which you can get from the tropical line of bees, or later on you can use furtive comb to get it, or from stringy comb. Now stringy comb comes from a few different types of bees, like the diligent, the unweary, and the industrious. So you have a few options for getting it. The most reasonable early on is probably going to be tropical bees, which you can find in jungles. But You take one of those and attach it to an inventory, and it will allow you to, just like the diamond pipe, move things in specific directions. Now, the one advantage to this over the diamond pipe is some of the options that it has for what goes where. And what I mean by that, if I quit clicking on it with a pipe, is you can specifically tell it to maneuver bees. So each one of these lines, the colors represents one each of the directions, and there are different options over here for what goes and where. Excuse me. The first one here, well, it starts off as closed, and if you don't have anything marked, anything that comes into this pipe just vanishes. It doesn't go anywhere, it just gets destroyed. So make sure you have at least one of these anythings. That's the first option when you click on it. So in this setup, anything would go in the black direction, which is down, and that will save you a lot of heartache later on. Have an anything when you use an Apiarist's pipe. Anyway, the other options are items, i.e. not bees, any bees, and any items that are not bees go elsewhere. Drones specifically, princesses specifically, queens, purebreds, nocturnal, pure nocturnal, strong flyers, pure flyers, and so on and so forth. What was that last one? Cave dwellers, pure cave dwellers, pipe filler, natural? That seems to be a little bit of a bug. I don't know what that is supposed to represent. Oh well. Anyway, moving on, there are 3 pairs of columns here that you will need to keep in mind. If I want to have a bee that has the active traits of this, oh, I don't even have to click on it. If I want to have a bee that has the active traits of a forest here, I'll use the forest, and the inactive traits of a meadows, then it will go in this direction. And you can do that for 3 different specific types of bees. So you can go any bees that have the active traits of a forest and the inactive traits of a meadows, and it will go that way. And you can just keep clicking and scroll through all the different types of bees that are in the mod pack that you have. So there's a couple hundred to go through if you're looking for a specific one. So good luck if you have one farther up in the chain that you need to guide somewhere. But when you do finally get to it, it is definitely worth it. And making one of these will make your life a lot easier. And I will show you why here in just a minute after I cut and be right back. Okay, now I have this little device here set up. This is just your regular plain old apiary. It's not a bee house because you can't hook pipes up to bee houses. This is an apiary. Underneath it is an Apiarist pipe, and then behind it here I have a wooden pipe for extracting with an autarkic gate on it. You can use redstone engine as a pump or something if you wanted to, but this is a pretty straightforward way of doing it. I have it set for if there's no redstone signal, which is the case, then energy pulsar. So basically what this does is it sends a signal to the wooden pipe here, and the wooden pipe extracts items from the output area of an inventory. So if I give this a cactus, go away. I thought I had a cactus in my inventory. And put that here. There we go. That should register here soon enough. I have a Modest Queen in here, and Modest has a short life, which, as you, if you watched a previous episode of this series, you will know that that means that it lasts for just under 14 minutes once it gets going here. There we go. So I am going to cut here, and then when it gets close to time for this thing to kick the bucket, I will show you how this works. But let me, before I get into that, I will show you how I have it set up. The black direction, which is facing down, will take anything whatsoever. And then the white direction, which is facing up into the apiary itself, will take or will put any bees. What happens here is anything that gets sucked out of here, no matter what it is, will come down over here, and then it will make a decision. Is it a bee? If so, it goes up. Is it anything else like comb or any other type of product that the bee can make? If so, it'll go down. Or if the bee that it is trying to put in there's already one in there, it will also go down, or if it's already full. So if this was full of drones, it would say, no, I can't put anything in here, any of the drones, so I'll put the extra drones down here. And so this is an awesome way of automating some bee sorting. Say you've got just a generic input box from your adventures. You toss things in. All of your materials go one direction. Then when they get to this, it says, is it a bee? If so, go over there. If it's not, everything else go over there. So all your cobblestone and dirt and everything else, everything can be managed by this to go in a direction. And if it's a bee, it can be told more specifically where it needs to go in any of the other remaining directions. But I'm going to continue waiting for this to get closer to kicking the bucket, and then I will be right back when it is ready. Okay, it looks like the bee is getting pretty close to the end of its life cycle. So I'm going to go ahead and continue recording here. Now you can see that it has already pulled out some parched comb that was produced by this queen. It popped in here and this thing automatically slurped it out. So hopefully, I wish this was an actual timer. That way you could look at it and go, there's this many seconds left, or minutes, or whatever. But I'll just have to deal with it. It's close enough to dead. And I'll just go ahead and just leave it on this screen, let it watch, or let you guys watch to see what happens all by itself. There we go. That gets pulled out. The bees should have gotten put up in there. Oh, they're cycling through. Drones go in there. Princesses go in there. It automatically makes a new queen. And then on the next cycle, more drones will get put in there all the way up to a stack of 64. And then any excess drones would have gotten put down in here. So this is an automatic bee breeding, and is it raining? It's raining. Automatic bee breeding and cycling system. Now, you can, off of just one pipe, well, ignore this one. You can put 4 apiaries on just one, as long as you have a means of extracting from all 4 and dumping them into this pipe, I would turn it into an iron pipe so everything goes in that direction. You can then tell the Apiarist pipe, well, let's see here, the green any bees can go there, the yellow any bees, the blue, yeah, the blue any bees. The red is where everything comes in, so that's closed, and the black is everything else. So you can have 4 for every one of these Apiarist pipes, which makes them a little less expensive seeming than they actually are. But if you really want to get into expensive seeming, the next step up from the Apiarist pipe, yes there is another one, is called, oh, and I didn't label this, whoops. I will go ahead and call this the Advanced Apiarist Pipe. And the recipe for this is 2 Apiarist pipes, 4 iron ingots, and a 1 Vializer. And the Vializer, which I covered in the previous episode, is made in a carpenter. You need some tin, some redstone, a diamond, and some glass panes to get one of these guys. You just toss it into the recipe, you get 1 Advanced Apiarist pipe. Now, that Apiarist pipe over there is pretty decent, has some nice functionality, but this puppy, you're gonna love it. Or hate it if you don't like all this random clicking. Well, less than random. There's a lot to cover on here, but it's actually not too bad. The first column here, you can tell it specifically what breed you want it to use, or closed, or non-bee, or any queen, any drone, any princess. So the non-bee is basically the replacement for items that are not bees, or any item. However, there is no output for any item or anything, so you don't have that functionality, but you have a lot more added functionality, so that's okay. The rest of this has to do with traits of the bees. You can set it so that in any of the directions, bees that are of certain working speed. What was that? Oh, blinding, because I don't have that. That's from Ars Magica. There is a bee that has the blinding speed. It is not in this mod pack, but the pipe is aware of it, so that's why it looks like that. The fastest thing on here is fastest. Anyway, the lifespan, the amount of drones, the climate tolerances, not the actual climate itself, but the tolerances, the humidity tolerances, whether it's nocturnal, cave, flyer, or any combination of the 3, what types of flowers it'll need, its germination or pollination, pollination, the area or its territory, and any effects. These are all the different kinds of options that you have for the traits that you can specify. In this direction, I want this specific type of bee to go that way. Or you can just take one of these things, or any combination. You can do this if you wanted. And if you really mess up, or you suddenly need to change what your setup is, you can click on this clear button and it makes it all go poof. Now the clear button does not affect this row, and I'll get to what this row is here. In each direction, and you can see all 6 of them here, you can place queens, princesses, or, since I am doing actual demonstration, whoops, or drones into these, and it doesn't actually take the item, it just makes a ghost image. And if you hit clear, it doesn't clear that out. But you can tell it specifically that type of queen, or that type of primary trait, or that type of drone for the different directions. So you can get really detailed like this. Or you can have one other option, hybrids. The only option for this toggle is pure bees or hybrids. That's it. It's on or off. And clicking on that, if you hit clear, it does not reset that. So keep that in mind as well. But basically, with this one thing here, you can super micromanage your bee sorting system to deal with pretty much anything that you can throw into it. It's pretty nice. But that is actually going to have to be it for this episode of this tutorial. It's getting a little bit longer. In the next episode, I'm going to be covering the Alveary and everything that's involved with it, as well as frames. Frames can go into apiaries, but I wanted to cover them when I did the Alvearies. That way it was one full episode, because the apiary episode was already a whole bunch of other things going on. So I'm doing the frames when I do this one. And if there is time at the end of the Alveary episode, I will be covering several of the other little things that you will need for your bee breeding, or just little knickknacks that you might want for your bee breeding, such as bee collector's jar, or jade moondial, things like that. But as far as this episode is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or if you notice I missed something, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get back to you. If you like this video, please give it a like. I do appreciate it. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you know when my next stuff comes out. I am planning on, after I'm done with this, probably after a little bit of a break, I'm going to do the update for the tree breeding guide. I have a tree breeding guide that you might want to look at. That's also the forestry, which the main part of the bee breeding is forestry. But there's been a lot more stuff added to tree breeding since I put that up, so it's time for me to update. I might make just a whole new little mini-series tutorial for it, or I might just add to the tutorial I've already got. I haven't decided yet, but that is definitely going to have to be it for this episode. So, thank you once again for watching. This is Thorn of Night, and I will talk to you later.